And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Wednesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour, proudly brought to you by our friends up there at Toyota of Warren. DJ Yoakley here, Scotty Mincher there, and Scooter. It's your week, my friend. The sun shines on you once again.
It is the sun is shining on me, and um, it feels good. I'll just say that it feels good.
Yeah, you were saying a little bit more than that earlier.
Yeah, I was, but I gotta remember, put things in perspective. It's a long season. A lot can happen, but I texted you this, DJ, after the game. I hope you're ready, cause we're coming, baby.
Yeah, you guys started out 1-0 last year, and that didn't result in a Super Bowl championship either. So, well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I will tell you this: the Steelers can't play any worse this week. So there, we got that.
Uh, yeah, I guess you do have that. But you had to face Nick Bosa next or last week. Now you're gonna have to go up against Miles, and so I don't know.
I think that's an easier assignment.
I personally think Miles is better than Nick Bosa.
Than Nick Bosa?
Yeah, uh, just my opinion. But
They got to go against the best linebacker / edge rusher in all of football every week in practice. So I don't think they're that worried about it.
they do. But the Browns go against one of the best too.
One of the best.
Practice. He okay. I we've talked about this many times. I don't think he's
Bosa, I think, is better. I do. I do.
You do.
And it's not because Myles Garrett wears the Browns color. I think Bosa is just more dynamic. And he does more when he's in. Somebody could prove me wrong, but and I'm sure Sam's going to pop in here. But I'm telling you, I think Bosa is an MVP candidate.
But if you're saying he's an MVP candidate, you obviously think TJ Watt is.
He won the MVP.
Had 3 sacks. Yeah, I'm saying you think he could win it again this year.
I think that. I mean, Pat McAfee asked him to do 22.5 sacks, and he'd give him $500,000. And he had how many? I think he had 2 or 3. Yeah. So he's on his way. He's on a breakneck pace for what, 38?
Yeah, but I don't know. He'll be hard on his heels. I think this might finally be Miles' year to win.
Based on what?
He had a great first game. He only had 1 sack in the stat sheet, but it was a sack on 4th down, so it iced the game. And he pretty much, because of him, he created another sack for Ogbo Onkwo, one of their, I can't say his last name, but defensive end they signed from Houston. He created a sack for him. He had a couple tackles for loss, and he had at least like 4 QB pressures. So,
but 1 sack.
Yeah, 1 sack.
Yeah. The way I look at it, that amounts to what, 17 sacks on the season he's on pace for?
Yeah. But I honestly, DJ, I think this is the year he gets 20 or above. I'm calling it right now.
And so, data-wise, looking at the general the body of work that Myles Garrett's had to this point is 1 game, and he's got 1 sack. And he's never done that before. He's had 20 sack season?
No, I think the most he's had is 16.
Okay, so what makes you think if he's on pace for 17 and the most he's had is 16, How's he going to get 20?
Because this kind of goes back to what I was saying last week. I think this is the best supporting cast, really. You could argue, other than one halfway decent year from Jadavian Clowney 2 years ago, really the only real supporting cast he had. I mean, Zadarius Smith from Minnesota was in the backfield all game as well. And they're not going to be able to double or triple miles on every play. So, I mean, he may not get the 20 sacks. I think he is going to get 20 or above. But even if he doesn't, that means the Browns defense, if they're able to just rush 4 or 5, like they did last week, and let the Browns' great corners just, play the man to man most of the time. Like the Browns' defense, I mean, they're already for real, but they can be a team that no one talked about them being a top defense before the season, but I think they'd be in the conversation with your Steelers as one of the top defenses in the NFL.
I can tell you one thing. I was wrong about the San Francisco 49ers. I was dead wrong about the San Francisco 49ers. I thought that they were just going to be a wet blanket on the NFL. So Kenny Pickett didn't look real good. I'll be honest with you. Didn't have a whole lot of time to do anything. But when you look at Brock Purdy, holy mac, he looked like a first-round draft pick. And Pickett looked like the dude they picked last. So I think the Steelers changed their way, and I'm not saying they're going to win, on Monday. I'm not willing to go that far. I think they improve because, like I said, you can't get much worse than you played against San Francisco, and you got San Francisco kind of patting them on the back like their little brother, and for good reason because they treated the Steelers like they were the little brother on Sunday afternoon. And the thing about it is, this is what I've learned about Browns fans and Buckeye fans in general. You guys get real arrogant real fast, and I understand why. Because you got to eat that candy bar before somebody else eats it, right? You're so used to, like, you can't savor the flavor long enough because by the time you guys actually, like, enjoy a win, you're right back in the loss column. Last year you started out 2-0, right? It was against Baker.
It was 1-1.
It was 1-1.
Yeah, because they had the Chernobyl style meltdown against the Jets.
That's right.
So
okay.
They then start 2-0.
Okay, I thank you for that. I appreciate that. So, and then here was the thing. I saw all over Facebook, our guys, other people, this is the first time the Browns have won opener since 1994 or 2004 or whatever it was. They won last year.
Yeah, they did win last year, but it was a much, you got to be honest with yourself, DJ, a much lesser opponent. I mean, what you may not agree with it, but most people after Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if you agree with this, but after Pat Mahomes, most people see Joe Burrow as the second best quarterback. And that team, the 3 points, that's a lot more impressive than a win over Carolina.
I
get you. It's one game. But here's the thing, DJ. You say fans like me, because I love the Browns, we get real arrogant real quick. And I agree with you. Like the second we see some light, we think we're winning a championship. But here's the thing. You said just on here last week, you said 6 games, 6 wins for the Browns. All I'm going to say is we already have one. And I don't know what's gonna happen if we win another one, and not only win it, but win it convincingly in Pittsburgh on Monday night. I think you might start thinking that you understand why I was drinking this Kool-Aid, because the problem for the Browns, going back 4 or 5 years now, it has not been talent in most of the positions. That they've had the talent. It's either been they haven't been coached up to the level that they can be, or should have been coached up to put themselves in the best position to win, or guys maybe just underachieved, injuries or whatever. But since, even going back to the Baker era, when Baker played really well, the Browns won a lot of games. It seems simple, but if you get good quarterback playing, Watson was far from great this first game, okay? But he still outplayed Joe Burrow, and you got everybody nationally, well, we'll give Joe Burrow a pass, and it was his calf and this and that. And then they talk about Deshaun Watson, and they're like, yeah, he didn't look that good, but you give Joe Burrow a pass. It doesn't seem right to me. But
Why would you not give Joe Burrow a pass on the opening week?
Because, like, he threw for 82 yards, DJ. He probably didn't do that at any point in high school. Like, he was horrible, absolutely horrible. Like, couldn't get. I know he has.
Would you take Joe Burrow over Deshaun Watson right now?
In this Browns offense and what they're going to ask Watson to do? No. I know you think that's crazy, but I think Deshaun's, I think he's only scratched the surface. I think he's on his way to a tremendous season.
How many touchdowns he throw for?
Ran
for one, threw for one, right?
He threw for
one.
What?
And then he ran for one.
But running's part of his game too. You can't just throw that out the window. He's a great athlete.
You're telling me right now you would take Deshaun Watson over Joe Burrow?
Yes, but only because I think the Browns' offense is more built for. They build it around Deshaun Watson, and that's where we disagree. I think he's gonna thrive in this system. I don't think it's built.
Thriving is one touchdown against a team like the Bengals, who, I mean, let's face it, they didn't play well.
They didn't play well, but
credit to the Browns. Credit to the Browns. They played well. The Bengals did not. But what did Chase have? Chase had what, 40 yards or something like that?
3 receptions for like 39 yards. Something like that. Or he might have had 5 for 39 yards.
I'm telling you this. If that's your benchmark, right, for the elite that you're going to play, because the Bengals are going to get better than that. Do you agree?
Yeah, they will get better than that, but it doesn't mean, like, you could say what you want and think the Browns are going to fall off a cliff, but they damn well better not let the Browns hang around, because even if they get better, DJ, if the Browns are hanging around, even if the Browns are within a game of them, and it comes down to that second game, like when they play late in the season, if the Browns are within reach of the Bengals, they're going to be in trouble, because the Browns have proven to be a nightmare matchup.
Can I just? I'm going to tell you this: if there was a redraft, I'm going to put my money that 32 out of 32 teams would start a franchise with Joe Burrow before they ever even thought about Deshaun Watson.
I think it would be.
I think the
No.
Browns would pick Burrow.
I agree with that, but I don't think you're taking again. You plug Burrow into this Browns offense.
So who does when you look at the Browns right now? What does Deshaun Watson do that is significantly better than what Joe Burrow could?
He was more accurate on Sunday.
In one game. And you're talking about a guy that had 3 completions against the Steelers the last time you played him?
Yeah, that was last year, and that was
so we can't talk about last year, but we could talk about last week. Like, let's look at the body of work. Joe Burrow has been to a Super Bowl.
And he lost that Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't drive him down the win. And he had the ball with a chance to win it against Kansas City last year. He couldn't get the job done in that game either. So he's a great player, but people before last year ended, people were talking about Joe Burrow like he was going to be the next Tom Brady. It's like, yeah, he's won a lot, but he's still, how many rings does he have? As many as Deshaun Watson.
As many as the Browns franchise.
In Watson.
And he's been to more Super Bowls than the entire franchise, by the way.
He has, but what good does that do if you don't win the game?
Well, aren't you the guy that said that you'd rather just see this team go to the Super Bowl? You'd celebrate that's one thing that you'd celebrate?
Yeah, because
And Joe Burrow's been around for what, 4 years, 3 years?
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson ever been?
No, he hasn't.
Has Myles Garrett ever been? Has Nick Chubb ever been?
They haven't been, but they also haven't had stable quarterback play. Like you could knock on Deshaun, but
he's not Joe Burrow.
When Baker had his best year, the Browns were they made the playoffs. They were a contender in the AFC. Like it's no guarantee who's to say Cincinnati's what if they lose to the Ravens this week and start 0-2 and then the Browns start 2-0.
I can tell you this.
I'm not saying it's over, but they're gonna be. That's a significant.
Didn't they start 0-2 last year? They lost to the Steelers in overtime to start the year. I'd have to look that up, but I feel like
they did start 0-2 last year. I don't know if they were both.
And they won the division,
losses,
right?
Though these would be both. They did win the division.
Yes. I mean, and cliche as it may, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And I'm not. There's people out there that are going to say, "Oh, he's just crapping on the Browns." No, listen, it's one game, folks. It's one game. It's one game. So if we're taking all of this into account, the Bills are in big trouble, right? The Chiefs are in big trouble. The Bengals are in big trouble. The Steelers are in big trouble. Half the league is in big trouble.
I get that point, and I think it's valid, DJ. But I mean, you could only go by the previous game. Again, a lot can change. It's one game, but you're the guy here saying the Browns would win 6 games, and they'll be lucky to split with the division teams. Well, they already got one, and what happens if they get 2? In the first 2 weeks, they only have to win 4 more the rest of the way to get to your high water mark. So,
listen, if you're doing if all of this is about my expectations for the Browns, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You want them to be Super Bowl contenders. You honestly think, and I remember you saying you honestly believe that they are Super Bowl contenders right now.
I do. I think they could.
Based on one game in the rain against Joe Burrow and a team that played very badly. And admittedly, correct?
But isn't part of that too? The Browns played really well.
Hey, you gotta both teams played in the rain. The Browns played better.
That's my point. You could say all these things and give me all the history and say Burrow's he's done this, he's done that, but all we have to go on this year, Watson, and again, he was average. That was the best. I'd say he had a C- game, far from a great game, but he clearly outplayed Burrow. It wasn't even close.
So does that make him better than Joe Burrow?
No, it doesn't make him better than Joe Burrow, but I think, people need to start, especially if the Browns win this week, if they go into Pittsburgh, take down the Steelers, something they haven't done in 20 years in the regular season.
Why do we have to talk about it? They beat them 3 years ago in the postseason, which counts a lot more than the regular season. Like, stop trumping up. Like, again, that's a victim mentality, Scotty. It's a victim mentality that Browns fans and Buckeye fans and fans just in general, it's a losing mentality. Like, you won. You bragged about it for 3 years. Now you can't go back and be like, we haven't won there in 20 years. You won 3 years ago. You beat Ben Roethlisberger. You retired Marquise Pouncey. You did it. We talked about it. There's memes everywhere of Ben Roethlisberger crying that every Browns fan, I think, has literally in their bedroom, and they kiss it before they go to sleep at night. Like either talk about it or don't, but you can't sit there and be the bully and be the victim at the same time. It's not how it works.
I'm not painting it like they're a victim, but
didn't you just say they have? What does it matter if they win in, like, honest to God, if they win in Pittsburgh next week, they're 2-0. They've got 15 games left. That's a good start. I'm admitted
it's a great 2-0 and both games in the division. You have to win in your division most of the.
Okay, but let me ask you this: if the Browns go 2-0 and they drop the last 15, do they win the division because they went 2-0 the first 2 weeks against division opponents?
Oh, of course not. But
do they win the division if they go 8-8 or 8-9 or 9-8 or whatever? Probably not.
Probably not. No.
But that's what I'm saying is like this 1 week.
Your whole point. You're proving my point.
What am I proving?
Because you're going off what guys have done before and what people have done before.
Body of work.
That's all I'm saying. If you just go by body of work, if you're just going by body of work though, DJ, why don't you just say right now that the Browns are going to get killed on Monday night? Because if you go by what they've done in the past, they never win in Pittsburgh in the regular season.
There it is again. You won 3 years ago in Pittsburgh on one of the biggest stages that your franchise has ever, and you bragged about it literally to this day. And now there's that little bit of doubt because you're talking that trash for the last week, that if